Hey everyone, welcome back to White Sparrow Living, Luke 12:6. I'm Wendy, and today we're doing some thrift flips for Christmas in July using some Dollar Tree items. So let's get started. So I knew I wanted to do some pink gingerbread houses, and so I went online and found on this Etsy shop, True North Digital Shop, and I just fell in love with everything she had on here. Her style is just soft and super pretty, and there's some good messages on there as well. And I'll have her linked in the description box below. But I purchased this one. This was exactly what I wanted, or the style that I wanted. And you can see it says gingerbread kisses and Christmas wishes. So that was perfect for this project. So all I did was print this out on my computer, or not my computer, but my printer. And it looks like she's having a sale through August 13th. And then I'm going to use some things that I had in storage that I either got from a thrift shop or purchased at a garage sale, or something I just used and didn't want to get rid of because I knew I could do something with it. So I had this clay vase and then this little globe. I don't end up using this. This is from World Market and I don't shop there, so it must have been from a yard sale or something, but it was the wrong color, so I didn't want to paint over the world, so I didn't use it. I replaced it with something else though. And then I found this clock. This is from Ross's, so I may or may not have purchased this. I don't remember. I just have a big box of a bunch of things, you know, that could go to Goodwill, but I could probably do something with it. And then this tray I had, I can't remember where I got this, but it's a perfect size for serving somebody, you know, their food or meals. Anyway, I'm going to start with the clock, and everything in here was super dusty. And the first thing I'm going to do is kind of dismantle this whole thing. I don't even know if it worked. I didn't try, but I'm going to take apart all of the clock mechanism. I was able to just pop out the front cover, the plastic cover. It was kind of scratched up, but that's not really going to matter. And I think it's going to turn out super cutie patootie. Well, I know it does turn out super cutie patootie because I'm done with it now. Anyway, I'm going to take some blush chalk paint and add some white to it to kind of try and get the same color variations as what's on my print. So I'm just going to mix those two up, and I like to see all of that shading in there, so I don't want it to be just completely solid. And this is so much fun. I love painting smaller things like this because you can use that same mixture on a bunch of different things and it'll all go together. So I have this Dollar Tree little red truck ornament, and you've seen these a million times, and I'm going to give him a little overhaul. And so I'm going to take the wire and the tree off of there. I end up putting the wire back so that I can hang on to it while I'm painting. But for the tree, because the area that's going to be behind our little plastic piece it's so narrow, I'm going to cut my tree so that it lays flat inside there. And I took it off screen because it got really, really messy. So I did it over my trash and out of the camera view. Anyway, I'm going to go around all of the edges of my little truck. And then I'm also going to take one of these stars, because if you noticed on the print, there were stars here and there in the background. So I thought I could use one of these Dollar Tree stars to do that. I just had to decide, if I was going to paint it pink or leave it gold, so I decided to do it in the pink. But I'm also going to have to decide which houses I want to use, because that's going to determine the backside color of what I wanted to use. It was either going to be brown or white, but I decided to go with the white so that those little houses would really pop and the pink would show up. So since I had my white chalk paint out already, I decided to snowy up all of the items that I want to look Christmassy. And then I'm going to take my truffle and mix some white in there and do the legs of my clock and then the little bells and the handle. And that's going to bring in the pretty beiges and browns of the gingerbread houses. And I think it just looks so pretty together. And then to give it some rustic-y goodness, I'm going to take my truffle and a little makeup sponge and then just dry brush that around my truck and my clock and give it a weathered look. So now I'm going to take some wee little scissors and cut around two of my houses. And this is also such a fun project to do because you can use this print in a number of ways. And I'm actually going to use it in another video in a couple of weeks, another Christmas in July, in case you can't get enough. So I love this print. So you really have to love it a lot to be able to do that many projects with it. Anyway, I'm going to cut out two of these houses, and it was really hard to pick just two. And then I'm going to take some Dollar Tree glitter. Now I had this little bit of iridescent left over, so I had put it in this little jar, but it comes on these little cards at the Dollar Tree, and there's just a little bit, but I knew that this was my favorite one, so I made sure to set that aside. And I wasn't sure I was going to have enough, so I had some silver as my backup for the back of my clock. So I'm going to take just a teeny bit, and using some clear glue, I'm going to brush that on to my houses, just in the areas like to go around the outside edges or just wherever you want to highlight with a little bit of the glitter. And so I took my brush and then put it on my house, and then I'm going to dip it into my glitter and just drag it onto each of those little houses. And it's super subtle, but I think it just gives it enough bling to bring it into a Christmas looking piece. And it's not overly glittered so that it doesn't look, you know, cheap or cheesy. But I did end up having enough for the background of my clock also. And so I'm just going to do the same thing. I'll just take the glue and brush it onto the back of my clock and then add it to that. I also added some to my little star just to make everything sparkle and dreamy. So now to put it all together, I'm going to use these foam adhesive squares. I don't know where they came from, but you could use adhesive dots or anything really. And I'm going to overlap my houses. So I put one down, and then I'm going to use two of the foam squares, and that'll go on the back of my second one. So it'll be a little bit higher than the first one, and it'll lay over there perfectly. And then I'll take my star and attach it over to the right. Now it's got some adhesive already on it, but just to make sure that it stays snug as a bug in a rug, I'm going to add some hot glue, and then I'm going to take my tree and reattach it to the back of my truck. And you saw I cut off the little trunk part, the wire part, so that it would lay flat on there, and then I'll hot glue that onto my truck. And then I had a little problem because he was not tall enough, so he was overlapping on my house and it was pressing it down. So I'm just going to take a little Jenga piece and kind of use my screwdriver and tap it down so that I could make it thinner, because it was a little too high with the whole Jenga piece. So you see there, I'm just splitting it. It's not a pretty sight, but you're not going to see this, and it was the perfect width for behind my truck, and it would be hidden. So this way he'll be on top of the house, but not pushing that paper down. You see what I'm saying? So I'm just gonna hot glue that to the back of my truck. But then I ran into another problem. Once I put him under my house, he was a little bit too low, and the Jenga piece kept it from going over the house. See how it's just going right up against the house? I wanted it a little bit higher, so I'm just going to have to slice another piece of this just Jenga. So technically it wasn't the perfect width for my truck, so I just took my craft knife, and this is really soft wood, so you can manipulate it however you want. And as long as you have a craft knife, I think you could do anything. You could probably build a house. Anyway, I'm going to hot glue that onto it, and now it's in the right placement, and I love it. Now for our faux snow, you've got a bunch of different choices. This is some Dollar Tree faux snow, and I love it because it does have that iridescent look to it, but it was a little bit too bright, if that makes sense. You can also use these little mini styrofoam snowballs, or what I'm going to use is this vintage mica snow. Now my aunt had this in her craft room, and when she passed away, I inherited some of her crafting supplies. She always had the best taste in everything, so this is very special snow. So I'm going to use it for this project, but I am pretty stingy with this and some other things too that are from her, but it's perfect for this project. So I'm just going to spoon that in there. And just so you know, I've done a couple of these projects before with the faux snow, and when you think you have enough, just know you don't. So put more. And then to keep it above or going below my first house that's a little bit higher, I added some Aleene's tacky glue to keep that in place because it's going to fall down, and of course gravity. You can make it go to the side and wiggle it around there so that you get it under the truck and under the house and where you need it. So I'm going to take some Dollar Tree ribbon, and I love this really pretty. It's kind of like a dusty rose color. I'm just going to do a couple of loops. I think I do 3 on each side. You know, I always have to decide, and you guys don't see what goes on with the decision making. You know, there's like smoke coming out of my ears trying to figure this out. And it has to be, you know, not too big so that I didn't want it to cover the handle or to be able to tell that it was actually a clock. So I'm just going to roll that over 3 times. And then I put little snips right in the middle, and then to hold it while I'm doing my other one, I'm just going to put a little clip on there. And then I'm also going to be using this Dollar Tree sheer ribbon. It is actually pink, but you can't tell, it's so thin until you get it all together, but it's just the softest pink, and it's perfect for this because, you know, I was really trying to use subtle shades and not so bright. So I'm going to do the same thing, and then I just used what I had, and I think I got 2 little loops, maybe 3 on some of that, but I don't know. I'll just do the same thing, and then I'm going to put them together and then take a chenille stem and feed it through those little snips so that you can move those loops around. You guys have heard me say this a million times, but just in case you're new here and you haven't seen it before, this is how you make an easy perky bow without all the hassle and twisting, and it's just super easy and kind of just does the work for you. So I'm going to foof those loops, and you see the extra chenille stem, that's what I'm going to attach it to my clock with around the sides of, you know, the little bells at the top. It'll go around the little stems there like you see me doing here, and then just attach it in the back. And then for some greenery, I'm going to take some lamb's ear scraps and just at the very top of those little stems, these are from Walmart, by the way, at the tops of those stems, you'll get smaller leaves. So that works out perfectly for smaller projects like this. And I'll be foofing my loops all the whole time. You just never stop foofing. And then I took a Walmart little tag. These are these little crosses. They have them pretty much every year, I think. I'm going to attach one over to the side of my clock to let it hang, and it says Faith, I believe. And then get my out of control ribbon tail to stay where I want it, so I'll just glue that over to the side. And here it is all finished, and I am so in love with this. I think it's so pretty. You guys know how I feel about snow globes and miniature things, and when you throw in some glitter and Christmas time, it's just so dreamy and just takes us back to our childhood, I think, and I've heard a lot of you say the same thing. But anyway, I love how this turned out, and I hope you guys like it too. Today I'm so happy to be teaming up with 2 beautiful ladies in our Jingle in July collab, and I think if it wasn't for collabs I would never be posting any videos. But anyway, we have Linda over at Linda's DIY by Design and Christina over at Christina Elizabeth 15. I don't think you have to push the 15 to get to her channel, but I'll have the playlist linked in the description box below as well as in the comment section, so it's easier to find. But after you're done here, please go check them out. You will not be disappointed. They're both so talented and make beautiful things. Make sure you let them know that I sent you, and if you're coming over from one of their channels, welcome to our little sparrow's nest, and I'm so happy you're here. And now let's continue to Jingle in July. So next we're going to be using this old clay vase, and you know, when I was looking at it, it kind of looked familiar, but I couldn't think of where I got it from. And then I realized it was from a project in one of my very first videos, and oh my, I don't even remember what happened to it, but anyway, I'm going to paint this with that same pretty beige truffle and white mixture that we used before, so that all of these projects are going to kind of coordinate. But I have to tell you, I went back to look at the video to show you guys the picture of the original project, and I could not believe that that was 5 years ago. Now, if you guys have been watching my channel for any amount of time, you probably know that this was a God thing, a call from God to start this channel. And so that's why I just have not laid it down. We've had a couple of really tough years with my mom and everything that we went through. But I just wanted to tell you guys, I saw that there were something like 4,000 views on that video. And that was one of my very first ones. And I'm just so humbled. And I wanted to thank you guys for always being here and the support you've given me over those last 5 years. And I just wanted to say thank you. So thank you. So I'm going to paint the entire vase with the darker brown, but then I'm going to go back and make a little face shape with a little lighter shade of that. And then I'm going to take my sponge dauber and add little cheeks with that pink, and then I'll go back with some white over it. I go out of bounds a little bit on the right cheek, but I'll fix that in a minute. And then I'm going to make a little nose here with that pink, and I'm just looking online for different faces and kind of taking like the mouth from one that I liked, and then the cheeks from something else, and the eyes from something else. The shape of the nose is from another face. But I just love how these little guys turn out, and they're really super easy to draw. So if you're not a painter like me, I mean, I'm not a painter, you know, these are really easy, and I think they turn out so sweet once you put those little facial features together. You can't mess this up. So anyway, once I get that face on there and the eyes, I'm going to go back in with a white paint pen, and I actually had to switch one out because it wasn't juicy enough. So I'll have all of my pens and the supplies that you see me using in the entire video linked in the description box below. And also there's an icon that should be down below there over to the left of your screen that says shop. You can find all of those products in that area. Just click the little purse and they'll come up. If you're on a desktop, I think it shows on the right side automatically next to the video. Anyway, so once I get all of my face all done, I'm going to take my white paint pen and do some little squiggly lines all the way around. And I didn't match up with where I started and where I finished, so I wanted to make a thicker line anyway. So I took my larger paint pen and just went all the way around to give it that gingerbread feature that you see, I guess, with the frosting on the edges. It's funny how we're always doing these gingerbread projects, but I haven't had a gingerbread cookie in probably decades. So that sounds really good right now. So now I'm going to take a Dollar Tree scarf, and I love this because it's so fluffy and has all that textury goodness. And then I'm also going to take this shirt. I kept this because I really liked the pink. For all of these projects, it's a little brighter than I meant to have it, but that was all I had, and I'm just using what I have. So I'm going to cut that down, and we're going to make this into a little beanie or hat for our gingerbread lady. And she became a lady when I gave her little eyelashes. So I'm going to hot glue my t-shirt onto the lip of my vase and just go all the way around with that. And it's doubled up so that it's a little bit thicker and more substantial, so it's gonna stand up. I'm gonna stuff it so that it'll stay standing up, but that extra fabric will keep anything from showing through. And then I'm just gonna cut off the excess, and I'll cut it down again once I get it all together. But now I can put my seam together on the back, and then I'll gather it up at the top. Did I show you? I must have missed it. I put some wadded up packing paper in there. I don't know where that footage went, but oh well. So I'm going to stuff it with that. You could put a Dollar Tree bag in there if you want. And then I'll close it up with a little piece of 5/8 inch ribbon that's pink and white gingham. And then I'm going to take my scarf and wrap that around the rim to make it look like a little beanie. So now I'm going to take some teeny little lamb's ear pieces and cut those off of the stems, and then I'll just poke that right into the side of his, oh, he's not a he. I'll poke that into the side of her little hat, and I just, that was Michael J. snoring. I'm doing my voiceover in the middle of the night. He has his earphones in, so he's, you know, totally passed out, but I should edit that out, but it's so cute. So I just added my little lamb's ear, and then I took 3 of those little scatter fill stuff. I think that's what they call it. But you know, these little styrofoam balls, and I'm gonna put 3 of those there and then make a little gingham bow for the bottom. And then here's where I'm gonna trim off some more of the top of her hat, and then we're gonna winterize her and kind of knock down the brightness of the pink. It's not really bright, it's just not really matching with my other items, but you'll see. And so I think that's pretty anyway with all the snow. And then I noticed that the top was just a little bit too much pink and didn't go with the brown. You know, it's not that it didn't go, but I just wanted to add some more brown. It wasn't balanced, I guess is what you would say. These things make sense in my brain, but you know, explaining it, that's another story. So I'm just gonna make another perky bow with a couple of loops on each side with the polka dotted burlap ribbon from the Dollar Tree, and it's done. And here she is, all finished, and I think she is absolutely adorable, and she was so fun to make. I love these with the sweet faces, and they look so festive and cutie patootie, but I love how this turned out, and I hope you like it too. I hope Michael J. does not watch this video. So now I'm going to work on our little serving tray, and I didn't get this for the beauty of the background in this snake print, so I'm going to pull that off. And I did get this because it was what I used to take my mom's food to her in. This is the perfect size. It's really lightweight, and I don't know, after I pulled that off I thought it was kind of pretty, so maybe I'll use that on something else. I'm just not a big fan of snake skin. So anyway, so I'm gonna first repair the little areas where it came apart. The outside part, this is all leather, or you know, like a faux leather, so there was one seam that kind of came apart, so I just repaired that. And then I'm gonna take these Dollar Tree tiles, and I took 2 and a couple of the scraps from another project I did. Now, one thing I didn't take into consideration is that there's a little border around all of them. So when I was piecing this together and putting it at the bottom so that I could cut down the middle and they would all be even and there would be, you know, the seam would match up, it ends up being a little bit too small. So I had to piece in some other pieces along the edges just to make sure that it was all around. But it's not even going to matter because we're going to be painting it, and I just want it for the texture. So the first thing I did was take my pink concoction and I'm going to paint the outside of my tray with that pink. Now I had planned to wrap my handles with some really pretty pink yarn from the Dollar Tree that matched with all of my other stuff. So I was kind of excited to do that, but I end up not doing that, and you'll see why, because some of that silver does show through after I paint it. So I ended up not wrapping them because I thought it looked really good with it after I was done. So then I went in with my white chalk paint and painted over everything. And I wasn't real careful with the handles because I had planned, like I said, to wrap them. So I'm going to have to scrape that off at the end. But then I'm going to go in and kind of draw a little house. We're going to put our Bob Ross on and just do some painting. And this is super fun. I just kind of looked at my gingerbread houses and I didn't copy any of them. I just kind of did my own thing and then added some trees and just painted away. But I did add the snow, and I think it gave it the same feel and look of my other ones. But I just made it my own and had fun with this. So now I'm going to take my Dollar Tree metallic marker, it's a rose gold color, and I'm going to write in gingerbread kisses and Christmas wishes. And I would have done this in my vinyl, my adhesive vinyl on my cutter, but I didn't have the right shade of vinyl to do this, so I went ahead and just wrote it out. So I'm going to take the back of my brush and make little balls to match the Christmas wishes, you know, on the print, and just attached those with that same metallic marker, and it's done. And here it is, all finished, and I think this turned out so pretty. When you mix those colors but don't make it solid, it's like you're shading without really shading. It just happens automatically. So I love how this turned out, and I hope you guys like it too. So this is the piece that I traded out for my little globe. It's a little popcorn tin that I got from a work thing a long time ago. I'm gonna also be using a charger from the Dollar Tree, and I'm taking the sticker off, but you don't really need to do that because it's not going to show. So you could do this project with a big tin can and you would just turn it over like this. But I'm going to use this the other way so that I can still use it as an actual tin and maybe even put cookies in there or popcorn again. So I'm going to put it on the back of my charger and then make a line around it so I can see where I need to put my glue. And then I'm going to use some permanent adhesive as well as some hot glue. And like a dummy, I accidentally put it upside down. I was thinking of something else apparently, and watch when I realize what I did. I still don't even realize that I've messed up. I'm cleaning it off, I'm cleaning the bottom, and then it's gonna dawn on me right about, well, sometime it's gonna dawn on me right there. Like, what did I do? So I had to pull it off real quick and get all that icky glue off and then redo it upside right so that I could still use the lid and have this be a functional piece as well as a pretty piece. I just have to get my brain on first. And then to give it a little more support and make sure that it stays in place, I'm going to put a pretty thick bead of glue all the way around the base where it meets with the charger. And that way it stays snug as a bug in a rug. Then I'm going to take my brown mixture and I'm going to do a wavy little line. Now this is not gingerbread, frosting. This is kind of like the snow that's coming from the top, because I wanted to use the lid, but if you paint where the lid goes on, it's not going to fit right and it's going to get all scratched up. So I'm using that white of the pail to actually become the little snow drips, so I'm actually doing the reverse. So the brown I'm putting down, I'm actually trying to make little wavy snow lines. You see what I'm saying? So then I'm going to paint the rest of it, and I just did the outline first and then went back in with a larger brush to cover that all up, and then I'll paint also the outside part of my charger. And did I tell you we're making a little snowman hat? Well, it's kind of a snowman hat, but it's also kind of a gingerbread-y type of theme snowman hat. So now I'm going to take some of this Dollar Tree tulle, and it's so pretty. It's pink with these little snowy balls all over it. I just think it's so pretty. And I'm just going to wrap that around the base, and I kind of just crunched it up and then tied a big bow on the other side. So I decided where I want my embellishment to be, and so I wanted it on the side of the hat and just made a sweet little bow and then foofed out the loops of that. And then I'm going to take my pink and white gingham and tie that around the bottom part of that tulle. And I just tied that in a knot. And I always leave my tails a little bit long at the beginning because I can always cut them down later. And then I'm taking some of this pretty silvery eucalyptus and tucking a couple of stems at the top and then at the bottom, so it just is kind of flowing off of the hat. I think this is so pretty. I'm not even sure if this is, yeah, I think it is Christmas eucalyptus. I don't know, I forget. But anyway, now I'm gonna take some of the Dollar Tree tubing, and I think this is so pretty because it's got that iridescent sheen to it. So to make a bow with this is the easiest stuff to make a bow with. Well, the tool's pretty easy too, but I'm just gonna wrap that around a couple of times and then take another piece and tie that in the middle. And then I'll take one of the pieces and slide it behind the tool bow and then get that attached on there as well. And then I took a white poinsettia and I'm going to attach that right into the middle of my two bows. I was going to use the pink poinsettias, but it was just a little too bright, and I really wanted this to match. I'll use that in another project at some point, but I couldn't go bright on this, and my little gingerbread girl, she was already bright enough. So now I'm going to take some little greenery, and this is not Christmas greenery. This came off of a rose bush, but I liked all the stuff that was on there. So this was the perfect time to use it because it's got, you can see it when I get close up to it. It's got like some white something or others, but it looks very snowy to me. So I used those, and it was a soft green, so I thought that was really pretty. I took 3 of those and just placed them here and there to peek out behind the whole piece. And then I have these sticks. They have glitter on them. These are from one of my very first Christmas trees, again, decades ago, and somehow they've survived all the years in packing and so forth. So I'm just going to combine them together and put a piece of chenille stem around it to hold them all together, and then hot glue those in behind my poinsettia. It's looking so pretty. And then I took this white Dollar Tree bell. I'm going to hot glue that right in the middle of my poinsettia. And I think I'm done. Oh my gosh. Oh no, I am going to do something else. But I think this is so pretty. I just could look at this all day long. These are the colors that I really love together, you know, with this ensemble. Anyway, so now that it's done, I had to get it snowy because, you know, I want to snow up everything. So, and here you can see I can still use my lid and it's not going to mess anything up. Super functional, and it's even got a handle. I love this piece so much. So now I'm going to try and do my speckling. Now my friend Linda, who hopefully you will go see her video after mine, this is how I learned how to do this. I'm always so scared to do this, but I'm just going to add a bunch of water to some white chalk paint, and then on a fan brush, you're gonna hit it. I'm doing the back first because I don't trust myself. And so, but then I got more courageous and went to the front. Now, one thing, I wanted some larger dots, so then I got really gutsy and started banging on it so that I could get some bigger dots, and it was working. So nobody does the speckling like my friend Linda. She is the professional speckler. And after I was done, I was speckled too, but here it is all finished, and I am so in love with this, and it was the easiest one of all. I've seen lots of snowman hats done this way, but I think this is adorable. I love these colors, and I'm going to show you everything all together, but these are all projects that you guys can do. I think they're pretty easy, but they don't look cheap. Don't you guys think? I think they look pretty high end, but I love them all, and I hope you guys like them too. I hope you guys enjoyed jingling in July with me. And if you did like these projects, don't forget to give them a thumbs up, comment, let me know what you think. If you're not already, I hope you'll consider hitting that subscribe button down below, as well as the little bell right next to it, so that you can be notified every time I collab or come out with a new video. Don't forget to go visit Christina and Linda. I'll have that playlist linked down below. I hope everyone has a blessed day, and remember to always be the light. Bye!